I put rose quartz on my past due notice like it was a paperweight for the universe. Don't chase money, TikTok said. Attract it. I vision boarded checks with extra zeros, wrote affirmations in a gold notebook, played subliminals while I slept, and told everyone I was calling in abundance. I also ignored 3 text messages from my manager offering extra weekend shifts and told my roommate Yasmin I couldn't cover my half of Wi-Fi just for this month. Rent was $1,475. I had $183.17 and a cart full of candles that smelled like prosperity. The first time my landlord, Mr. Larkin, slid a paper under the door. Yasmin shouted from her room, "You got mail," and I said, "It's just budget noise." The paper said notice to vacate in bold, 3 days to pay or surrender possession. I Googled and learned that in Texas, unless your lease says otherwise, landlords must give at least 3 days' notice before filing an eviction case. 3 days is nothing when you're trying to manifest the state of your life. It's an eternity when the constable knows your building. I taped the notice to my wall and added it to the altar. Citron, bay leaves, my prosperity playlist. The comments under my favorite creator said, "Unexpected checks will find you." I believed them because belief felt better than picking up a double. Yasmin stopped leaving spoons in the sink because she didn't want to talk to me, which left a quiet eye filled with YouTube. Detached from the outcome, one coach said. Money comes when you stop needing it. Every time I thought about texting my manager back, I pictured money chasing me and felt proud of my restraint like it was a muscle. On day 4, a new paper arrived. Citation. Justice Court, Precinct 1. It had my name, Larkin Properties v. Rivera, the past due amount with late fees, and a court date 10 days out at the JP Court on Ritterman. There was a paragraph in bold. You have been sued for eviction. You may appear in person, by attorney, or by filing a written answer. The citation told me exactly what the creator videos never mentioned. If the landlord wins, I'd have 5 days to appeal, and if I didn't, they could ask for a writ of possession and have the constable remove me. You need to call them, Yasmin said, pointing at the number at the bottom. Set up a payment plan. I don't want to negotiate from a place of scarcity, I said, and heard how ridiculous it sounded out loud. Yasmin stared like she was watching me choose an aesthetic over oxygen. I can't get dragged into your choices, she said finally. I'll be out by the end of the month. The day of court, I wore my cleanest blazer over a tank because I'd read somewhere that judges respect effort. The waiting area smelled like coffee and hand sanitizer and poor decisions. Mr. Larkin was already there in a gray suit with a folder labeled ledger. He nodded at me like he nods at the guy who mows the lawn. A steady, polite acknowledgement that doesn't involve warmth. When they called our case, the judge asked if we wanted to talk in the hall. Sometimes the parties can work something out, she said. Mr. Larkin stepped aside with me and a property manager named Carla, who had a clipboard and the calm that comes from doing this every week. I can pay by Friday, I said. It was Monday. I'm getting a check. From where? Carla asked. Not unkind. Just the way you ask which bank your math lives in. I don't have it yet, I said. But I'm expecting it. Do you have proof of future payment? A letter from an employer? A screenshot, she asked. I've been focusing on energy, I said, then flushed because I could hear the court reporter's keyboard in my head and imagine those words living forever as a joke. Mr. Larkin kept his voice even. We'll dismiss if she can pay current rent plus late fees by Friday at noon and agrees in writing to pay next month by the 1st, he said. If not, we proceed. I can do Friday. I lied, because lying is easy when you plan to be a better person later. We went back in, told the judge we had a Rule 11 agreement. I'd pay $1,475 plus $95 late fee plus $77 court costs by Friday noon, or judgment would enter for possession. The judge said, I'll reset your hearing to Friday at 1 p.m. If you pay, both of you come tell my clerk and I'll dismiss. If you don't, we go forward. I went home and stared at my altar like it was a vending machine I'd fed all my quarters. I wrote paid in full 10 times in my notebook. I played a remove money blocks meditation and resisted the urge to text my manager because the coach said, If you chase, you tell the universe you don't believe. Friday at 11:06 a.m., my bank still said $183.17. At 11:11. Of course. I made a wish and cried on my rug while the prosperity candle made the apartment smell like spiced denial. At 12:03, Yasmin stuck her head in my door. "Do you need a ride?" she asked. "No," I said. The bus is abundance too. The judge didn't raise an eyebrow when we said I hadn't paid. She let Mr. Larkin introduce the lease, the ledger, the notice to vacate, the Rule 11 that said Friday at noon, and my failure. She asked if I had anything to show otherwise. I did not. Judgment for plaintiff for possession, she said. 5 days to appeal. I sat on the concrete steps outside JP Court watching people carry their lives in folders. Mr. Larkin came out and stood 6 feet away like the floor was marked. "You can still avoid the writ," he said, not unkind. "Pay in full by Wednesday, and we'll file a satisfaction. Otherwise, we'll request the writ on day 6. Day 6. I echoed because learning the law on a schedule feels like a cruel school. Texas gives 5 days to appeal, he said. Day 6 we can request a writ of possession. The constable posts a notice with at least 24 hours. After that, they can remove you. I don't enjoy it. It's just how it works. I wanted to call him a slumlord. He maintains the property, answers emails, fixes leaks within a day. He's boring and fair, and he won because he showed up with paper while I brought vibes. I didn't appeal. An appeal required a bond. Money I didn't have. I finally texted my manager at 2:07 p.m. "Can I pick up anything?" She sent a polite schedule that said, "We filled those shifts." I applied to DoorDash and Instacart and every overnight shift between here and Bernie. Money showed up, $68 here, $91 there. But not in time and not in a lump that could impress a constable. Day 6, an orange paper appeared on my door, writ of possession. 24 hours. It said the constable would return after 24 hours to execute the writ. Under it, a smaller sheet from Larkin Properties said they would store any property removed for 30 days, and I could retrieve it by paying a reasonable moving/storage fee. Someone had written the fee in blue pen, like a mercy. $185. I finally called my mother because humility comes last for me. "Mija," she said, voice a blend of worry and scold. "If you needed help, you should have said." She could wire me $400. It was a kindness and a reminder. People help, the universe is busy. Yasmin's brother showed up with a truck and a laugh he used to keep me from cracking. "We'll move what we can," he said, "and you can couch surf with me and my girlfriend a week while you figure it out." He loaded my ring light and crystals and vision board and the shoes I'd never worn. He left the prosperity candle on the counter and said, "You want this?" I shook my head. It smelled like a person I didn't want to be. When the constable came the next morning, she knocked politely and called my name. She wore a star on her chest and compassion in her eyes. "Are you ready?" she asked. "We can give you a few more minutes while they change the locks." The locksmith popped the core out like a magician palming a coin. Mr. Larkin stood with Carla and a clipboard and the storage company guys. "We'll list what we remove," Carla said. "You can make an appointment to pick it up if it comes to that." I signed the paper that said they could enter. I carried out boxes that felt like a quiz on what matters. Yasmin hugged me at the curb and whispered, "I'm mad at you for how you handled it, and I still love you." I cried into her shoulder and said, "I know the way you say, 'I'm sorry,' when sorry is all you have that's worth anything." By noon, the apartment was a rectangle with a different lock. I told myself I was free. I also told myself I had no home and that both could be true. I got a job the next week at the cafe down the block from the JP Court because poetic punishments are real. I take orders from people about to be sued and people coming out of hearings with their lives in folders. I hand them receipts and watch the way paper makes people behave. The first payday, I split my cash into 3 envelopes labeled rent, utilities, everything else like every budget YouTuber I had ignored. I got on a waitlist for a studio that smelled like new paint and compromise. Mr. Larkin mailed me my deposit statement. Most of it gone to unpaid rent and cleaning, a $62 check attached like a punchline. He included a copy of the ledger and a note that said, if you need a letter confirming you left voluntarily at the writ, I can write one. It helps with future landlords. I stared at the kindness in his administrative tone and wanted to be angry that he never got mean. Rage would have felt better than shame. But he didn't gloat. He didn't post. He was boring, and every system is built for boring to win. When I tell this story, people want a villain. They want the landlord to be cruel, the judge to be cold, the constable to be power-tripping. They weren't. I was. Not for wanting prosperity, but for pretending work is beneath the narrative of my life. I tried to call in money with candles and refused actual calls that would have paid me time and a half. He wins because he followed the law and didn't take my bait to turn this into theater. He posted the notice, filed the suit, brought the ledger, asked for judgment, requested the writ, and stood by while the system did exactly what it says it does. He wins because boring beats magical thinking in court every time. If you're hoping for the part where the universe drops 10 grand in my lap because I learned my lesson, that's not the story. The universe sent me a copy of the Texas Property Code and a cafe schedule instead. I paid Yasmin back the Wi-Fi. I mailed Mr. Larkin a cashier's check for the $185 storage fee because I needed the books I pretended to have read and the pots that make rice the way my mom does. I tape my new lease on the fridge like a treaty with myself. Rent due. First. Grace. 0 days. The crystals live in a drawer. The prosperity candle is a reminder, not a plan. I still write in a gold notebook. Now it says things like Tuesday, shift 6A, 2P, call electric, put $50 in rent envelope. Abundance is a calendar with boxes you fill with actions and names of people you owe. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. She tried to manifest her rent instead of answering extra shifts. The landlord followed the Texas process. 3-day notice, JP court, 5-day appeal window, then writ of possession. And won. No drama, just paper and procedure. The lesson: candles don't pay bills. Call your manager back and make a plan before a constable has to. If you like this video, please subscribe for more. Thanks, and see y'all tomorrow.